Welcome to the Wrexham Coffee Matchup. I'm Dave.
And I'm Courtney. Each week, we'll take a few minutes to catch up on the latest news from Wrexham. From matchups to transfers, on and off the pitch, we'll share our takes on it all.
So grab a coffee and join us.
Hey Dave, welcome back.
Hey, how are you this week?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing pretty good. We only have one match to recap this week, which is a nice change of pace after last week's marathon of 3 matches that we had over 8 days.
That's true.
Yeah. But right before we get into the match, so they just completed the FA Cup draw for the third round. So the third round is when the Championship and the Premier League teams enter the draw. And this is the first time in many, many years that we're coming into the draw at this stage. Last season, we actually went out in the first round. And since the takeover in 23 and 24, we made it to the 4th round of the cup. Okay. So if we do well in this third round match, then we'll have matched as far as we've gotten in the cup to date under the new ownership. But I'm hoping that we make an even stronger push because we have a really strong team this season.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. So there was a lot of talk as to whether we wanted a Premier League draw, or we wanted another championship team, or if we wanted one of the lower teams to kind of get through this first round. I guess it's all kind of a moot point at this moment because we did draw against Nottingham Forest, which is currently 17th in the Premier League, and we'll be playing that match at home, which will be, I think that's going to be a very exciting to get a Premier League team at the race course, and it's been a while since that happened. So looking forward to that. We've only played Nottingham Forest in cup matches in the past, back in 1982 and in 1993. So it's been quite a while since we played up against them. So I think you took a few seconds to do a little quick research on them. What did you learn?
I did. And actually, I didn't know that the last time we played a cup match against them was in 93, which means that was before they've had a history as well. I mean, they had a very strong Premier League history. And then I think it was 98, 99 when they dropped out of the Premier League and then spent many years trying to get back into it. I think it was the 2021 season that they went back to the Premier League. And they've spent the last couple of years sort of narrowly escaping relegation. This season, they've had quite a few managerial changes. So let's see how we do, how we fare. Obviously a strong team with a very strong history, but perhaps at an opportune time for us.
And I just realized as you were talking that we have joint friends who live in Nottingham.
Oh, do we?
Who Anne and Andrew are dear friends.
Oh, yeah.
And they constantly razz me the fact that they have a Premier League team and we just have Wrexham that we follow. So this will be the first time.
This
will be the time to kind of see how their words hold up in the weeks up to the match.
Okay, so big stakes in January.
Big stakes. I'll be bringing it up to them by text as soon as we're done.
I'm sure, and as frequently as possible until then. And maybe even later, depending how we do.
And maybe later, yes. So let's look at, Saturday, we played up against Preston North End. So let's just get all the potato jokes out now, because yes, Preston North End is in fact the home of the Spud Brothers, or as some people call them, Spud Bros.
Spud Bros.
Not sure what the correct UK pronunciation is. I had to finally look up who the Spud Brothers were. And
it's like a food truck or a food establishment.
It's a food truck. It's a food truck that went viral on TikTok.
Okay.
And so they've become social media famous. And now they have food trucks throughout the UK that go to events like matches and stuff. But it was.
Is there one in Manchester?
I don't know. We would have to.
Maybe we can go to a Spud Brothers. That would make my day.
There were a lot of people commenting on how they wish they could try the Spud Brothers, all the overseas fans on social media. And Mark at one point during the commentary said that the Wrexham social media manager had visited Spud Brothers that morning and only gave it a 3 out of 10. So he didn't recommend that
Out of
we make
10.
the effort.
Okay, but there could be a lot of reasons behind
There
that.
could be a lot of it. It could be political. It could be competition. It could be many, many reasons. But
I mean, you're funding the sponsor of your other team. So, you know, I don't want to say that I don't trust them, but I would be willing to make my own independent research.
So we'll have to add that to our list for February to kind of do some homework on.
Done.
So we talked already earlier that we met Preston North End in the EFL Cup in the second round back in August, which we were victorious 3-2, but we played very different teams this time. This was our full starting lineup league match. Go get them. And this was our first league match with them since 2000. So 25 years kind of waiting to meet up again in the league. It was just a brutal match. A brutal match. I guess let's say up front, we came away with a 1-1 tie. So we drew this match, which at least successfully continues our unbeaten streak. We're up to 9 games unbeaten, which is a very, very good streak. Only one team has had a longer streak this season so far, and that was Coventry. Coventry went their first 12 matches unbeaten of the season. Until a small little team named Wrexham came and beat them. So that ended their unbeaten streak. So we have 3 more to go to tie that streak. Let's cross our fingers and hope we can keep that going. Because I think that even though it was a very hard match, it was a very cold, very rainy, very rainy match. There was a lot of slipping and sliding across the field from both sides. And we came out just on fire again, as we have been doing. And a beautiful, messy goal when McClean passed over to Keiffer Moore, who it hit the goalie, and Keiffer was right there, and he just knocked it in the goal. And so he got his 10th goal of the season, 4 minutes into the match. It was really, really great to see, and it set the tone for that first half. And we just kept going and going and going. We never let up, but I did notice that there was a very distinct tone shift in the second half of the match. Part of that was due to substitutions. There were early and often substitutions from Preston, and it really shifted the tone more towards their offensive. And so we became much more defensive. And I think the final stats ended up being at the end of the match, they had 22 shots on goal to our 3. And so really it became a full-on defensive match. And luckily our defense,
which we are very strong at. Yeah.
Very, very strong. And it's been an unchanged defensive lineup for many matches now. And just Arthur, I mean, we've got to talk about Arthur because if it were not for him, the game could have had many more goals.
If it were not for him, and in one instance, if it were not for like the bar, right? True. There was one that I gasped out loud and it hit the bar and I thought, oh, thank goodness.
Yes. Even the one save, I mean, we'll have to say, beautiful save from McClean.
Yeah.
In one of those instances.
Well, I will say it was a multiple save situation saved by Arthur. There were many situations where it was like 2 or 3 in a row that were saved. Correct. So it was like Arthur, then back, then in, and then James McClean clears it out. James McClean, I still cannot get over the fact that he has dark hair now. I had to do a double and triple take to see who it was. But yeah, that was a fantastic save.
Yeah. And I mean, we did still create a lot of opportunities in the second half. We just weren't able to convert them because they didn't get their goal until about the 80-something minute. So there were several chances in the second half where we could have gone up 2-0, and that would have probably changed the trajectory of the match a little bit, just in terms of the feeling and the fight. But I felt like this week, the substitutions on our side came very late. Very, very late. And we didn't really do anything to change the feel of the match. I mean, bringing on Windass didn't give that little extra boost of energy that it normally does. And so really, I mean, I think we have to be happy to walk away with a 1-1. Because
do you think by that point it had already shifted too much? in
I
that kind
think
of
so.
defensive
Yeah.
mode.
I
Yeah.
think so. And I'm sure the conditions just did not help. I mean, I think I looked and it was what, 44 degrees and just constant rain the entire time. And that just has to be hard to get going when you're coming
Yeah.
into a match that late. And I think it was closer to the 75th minute when Windass came on. And so he didn't make the substitutions around the 60-minute mark, which would have given him a little more time to
Yeah.
sort of make that change. But I mean, solid draw, another point.
hmm
Like I mentioned, we're now 9
And
unbeaten in a row. Yes.
yeah, and I think we really, I mean, like it felt like digging in our claws a bit, which was probably literal to some extent because of how wet the field was.
Right.
But we've been talking so much about Arthur Okonkwo and how he's been doing in goal and has been absolutely incredible. But what I also really noticed was, okay, if it was 3 shots on goal, we still gave the goalkeeper a run for his money. We still gave that Preston North End goalkeeper some work to
Oh,
do.
yes. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
then I
So
have, oh, go ahead.
I was going to ask what your thoughts were on the match. It's like,
Oh, yeah. I mean, like I said, dug in, did great. That save by James McClean, I thought it was a great match. It was a little bit, I don't want to say gut wrenching, but a little bit. And what was it, 89th minute, 80 something minute, to concede a goal. There was nothing Arthur could have done. It just like went
right.
between his leg and the goal, and he'd had so many saves. I remember one save, he was kind of falling. He saved one with his stomach. It came back. He saved it again. I mean, there were so many woo-ha moments that,
There was
it can
definitely a lot of,
happen.
I would call them body shots
Yeah.
from Arthur this time.
Well,
He used
that
every inch of
probably,
his body to
yeah,
save
he
those
did.
goals. Yeah. Yeah.
He really did. And
Yes.
actually, you are always sharing statistics. I was able to find some statistics of my own that I want to share with you.
Oh, please do. Please do. Yeah.
Okay. So thinking about saves, and if a save percentage is going to take into account the number of shots on goal and the number of goals that are conceded. Now, as we saw with James McClean, it's not always the goalkeeper that is going
Mhm.
to, clear away a shot on goal, but it does give you kind of a sense of goalkeeper, but also kind of the defense. And we were talking about how strong the defense is. So if we look at the top 4 save percentages in the championship this year so far, top 4 teams 2 and 3 are Ipswich Town and Bristol City that we've
Okay.
played in the last 3 weeks.
Okay.
Then between 1 and 4, and I want you to guess which goes where, we have Stoke City, which was the last team that handed us a defeat, and Wrexham.
Okay. I'll be bold and say that we're 1.
We are.
Okay. That is impressive. That is impressive.
Yeah. So I think it really
Well,
speaks to what we've been talking about, just how strong he is and how strong our defense really has been this season.
right. And I don't know if you saw the stat, but in the month of November, Wrexham only conceded 1 goal the entire month.
Oh, no, I
And
didn't see that.
and that was by far the lowest conceded number for the entire championship in the month of November. So it led
Nice.
to Arthur being nominated for the Player of the Month, and so hopefully he is in it for that, and well deserved if he gets it. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So now kind of we're seeing how the season is going so far. We are getting close to the end of the year, which means there's going to be a transfer window that's going to open up in January, which
Mhm.
means we need to reset our sort of lineup, our roster, for the second part of the season. In the midst of all of that, we've also seen Andy Cannon back
Mhm.
practicing. There was also a nice interview with him several weeks ago on that Wrexham podcast, talking about his recovery. Jay Rodriguez has been seen practicing. What are your odds of them making that roster in January?
That is a tough question. For Jay Rodriguez, I don't know if I see a path for him
Yeah.
just because, I mean, he came in, he played the role he needed to play at the end of last season, but the team is just a completely different team this year. And I don't know how he would fit in, especially considering that we have strikers that we're not using. If you look at Ryan Hardy as well. So I think that would be a tough one to make it in. Andy Cannon's an interesting story because when he's healthy, he's an incredibly strong player. And he's done some great things for the team. But then you have someone like Ollie Rathbone, who's now been practicing and been on the bench for multiple matches and still hasn't made it onto the field. And so
I
it's
thought
like,
he also had a re-injury.
he had a re-injury, but he's still back on he was injured, then he came back, then he was slightly re-injured, but he's been on the bench, 3 or 4 times now since he's come back, and he still hasn't gotten any playing time. And then we have Elliot Lee, who's recovering from knee surgery, who in his interview this week said that he's looking to be back in January as well. So I think we've got 4 players that have not played. And how do they fit in? And unless someone leaves, I don't know how likely it is that one of either Andy or Jay would come back in. What do you think?
Well, this fits in. You mentioned that name. That's a bit of a buzzword for you and I. Hardy and Connor Cody.
Right.
You know, I don't want to say how are they going to fit in? Do they fit in?
Do they fit in? Yeah.
You know, maybe those are 2 spots that kind of open up. I agree. I see more of a path forward with Andy Cannon than with Jay Rodriguez, but also, to be fully honest, I'm not totally sure that I see Andy Cannon, but I think that's only because he's been out for so long recovering and the team has shifted so much. So I'd love to see it. I'd love to see, you know, where he would fit in with the team the way it is currently. I don't know. It's a really tough one.
And then there's the whole toss-up question of are they going to bring in someone else? If someone else gets brought in from the outside, you know, we're already fully up at the 25 plus at least 2, if not a few more that didn't make the squad. So I did hear one thing, and I should double check this, is apparently there's a window in January when our first roster is over. The 25-person roster that we're on now ends, and there's a couple weeks before the new 25-person roster is due. So there is a possibility to bring in one of the players who didn't make the 25-person lineup for a few matches in January
and see
to see how they go and what difference that makes. So it will be something that we definitely will keep an eye on next month as we get closer to that.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see what's our schedule in January. Which matches do we have? Because that'll make a difference too.
Right, which I have not studied that yet because I've been focusing on December at the moment.
Wasn't a question. Just a thought.
I try to keep as much useless information as my head as I can. But okay, so then
what's coming up?
So coming up this week, so Wednesday, we have another Wednesday match this week. So remember that it's not a Tuesday match against Hull City. So Hull is currently 9th, but they've lost 3 of their last 4 matches. So they're in a bit of a rough patch. I was able to watch the Hull Middlesbrough match on Friday afternoon, our time, Friday night, your time. And Middlesbrough just destroyed Hull in the first half. I mean, by the end of the first half, it was 4-1. And it was just attack after attack after attack, and Hull couldn't pull it together. Now, they did pull it together in the second half, and there was no goal scored against them in the second half. But just had to have been just a disheartening play.
That's a tough start.
And having lost to us in the early cup match, to be facing us again this time at their home, they're really going to want to come out and kind of turn their losing streak around. So I think they're going to come out with everything they have. Last season they finished just outside of the relegation zone, and they've been through multiple management changes over the last few years, which I think we're seeing as a theme for some of these teams. But they really have found stability, which is showing up in their currently 9th ranking. So they have really good potential this year. So I'll be curious to see how this week goes and if we make any changes.
And we play great away.
We do. We play very well away. So
So
let's hope.
fingers
But
crossed.
there's interesting point though is that one of the most famous recent alumni from Hull City is our own Ryan Longman.
Okay.
And so Ryan Longman played there from he made 80 appearances between 2021 and 2025 for the
Okay.
team. So he's had a long history with them. And if he's back starting again this week, that would be interesting to see sort of how that matchup goes. It'll
Hmm.
be our first time meeting them in the league since 2005. So just
Okay.
20 years now since we've last played them in the league. Just all these times, after a couple more matches, we'll be all caught up on the first times in so many
That'll be
years.
great.
And now it'll just be like trying to remember what happened the last time we played them, right?
Yeah.
And then followed on Saturday the 13th. We're back at home this time against Watford. Watford is currently 13th, and they're at level points with us. So we're
Okay.
12th, and they're 13th. We just have
Okay.
a better goal differential.
Hmm.
So they've been sort of dipping in and out of the Premier League. The last time they were up in the Premier League was the 21-22 season. And so they've been back down. They only spent one season there and
Okay.
then fell back to the Championship. And so they've just kind of been, steadily trying to make their way back up. I was doing a little bit of research. So one, this would be the first time we were playing them in the league since 1998. So it's
Okay.
been quite a while since we played them. But in talking about famous owners and sort of the celebrity influence of English football, back in the 70s, Watford was purchased by Elton John. And Elton
Oh,
John
hey.
purchased and served as the chairman for the team for many years with the goal of getting them into the first division, which is now the Premier League, but was called the First Division back then. And interestingly, Wrexham played Watford in April of 1982. And Watford's victory of that match, 2-0, was the match that secured their promotion to the First Division in 1982. So
Oh,
fulfilling
wow.
fulfilling Elton John's goals and got them up into
Okay.
the Premier League. Elton John was the chairman for, I think he owned the team up until like the mid 90s.
Okay.
At which point he sold it, and then he's been back involved with the team over various periods over the years. So it's
Oh,
kind of an interesting thing, but it was like it's been going on for many, many years of just, people using their Hollywood money or their entertainment money to come and invest in a sport that they love and trying
yep.
to get them to the Premier League. It sounds like a familiar story, right?
Wrexham owners have not done anything new.
No. They're just given all the stick because they're, Hollywood.
Well, we're
right?
in a totally
And
different age of social media as well, right? It's
true.
easier to scrutinize when you have 24-hour cable media, 24-hour social media. Everybody's, doing their own snark and criticism online, and that's what gets the most attention. So
And Elton John is a local boy to Watford. So
that's
I
true.
think that's the other part of it as well. It's not like he's an outsider who came in and bought
He
the team.
has a very
So
clear connection. Yeah.
very clear connection. So we look forward to see how we do on those two. And when we check back next week, we'll see, where our standings are and how we're doing on keeping that unbeaten streak going.
Yeah, let's see. Well, that's all we have time for. Thanks for joining us this week. Please like, comment, and subscribe.
You can also email us at wxmcoffeematchup@gmail.com. All one word, that's wxmcoffeematchup@gmail.com. Or you can follow us on Instagram and Blue Sky at wxmcoffeematchup.
From the cop to your coffee cup, that's all for today's Wrexham Coffee Matchup. Keep it brewing, keep it red, and as always, up the town.